In this section, we are going to cover the importing feature in the partner application. Operators can import bulk data for parts in the system, as well as bulk creating products using the importing feature in the application. So just click on the setting from the operator sidebar, then click on importing from the options, and you can view the importing screen. As you see, there are 4 steps for importing items into the system. Selecting the data source and importing it, mapping columns, reviewing the process, and importing process. By default, the part number is selected as the data source type, but you can change it by clicking on the dataset dropbox and selecting the option for importing, such as part codes or tags. Then you need to import the CSV file that contains the records that you need to import into the system. For better understanding, you can download the sample file based on your selected data set by clicking the download the sample file button. Let's look at the sample file. You can fill the sample file with your data, or you can choose your CSV file. So just click on the drop zone and select the file for importing. Then you will be able to click on the next step, and you will move to the column mapping step. In this step, based on your imported file, the system will automatically detect the columns on your data file, and if they are the same as the default column names for the selected data source, which here is part number, the mapping values will be filled automatically. Otherwise, you are needed to map the column names in your data with the same default columns. As you see, on the left side are the default column names for the selected data source, and on the right side are the columns of your file. You need to make sure that columns are mapped correctly. For selecting another column from your file for mapping to the part number column, for example, you can just click on the dropbox and select the column that contains the part number from your options. For example, you can just click on the dropbox and select the column that contains part number from the options. I tried to change the column names just to show you. So here the column number 1 is equal to the part number column. And the second one is same as type. The third one same as parent category. Fourth one category. And like this. After you selected all the columns, then you are all set for the next step. So click on the next step button and you will be shown the review of the process. In review section of the importing process, you can view the selected data source and number of records that you are importing on top, and the map column names on the bottom, so you can make sure that you have selected the correct columns. In case you wanted to change any data, you can navigate back to the previous steps, either by clicking on the steps on the top of the screen, or you can click on back button on the bottom action bar. After you made sure that everything is correct, you are ready for the import process. So just click on the finalize button on the bottom action bar and import process will begin. Make sure you do not leave this page or close this tab when the import process is running, otherwise the process will be finished and you won't have access to the reports. You can view the summary of the process in the table, and you can download the report of the process by clicking on download all item report button. Or if some items are failed in the import process, you can download the failed items report separately by clicking on the download failed items report only button, and the report will be downloaded to your system automatically. Let's look at the report. So these items were all imported successfully. You can view the records from your file that were processed and their status on the bottom of the page. You can also search for the records by the part number by entering the relevant keyword in the search section, and the process items will be filtered based on the entered part number. Finally, if you want to import new sets of data, you can just click on the import new data button on top right of the screen and start the process from the beginning. So here was how you can import data into the system in bulks. We imported some sample part numbers. However, you can import all other types of data by following the same process. Just make sure that you download the sample file format for each dataset to indicate what columns are required for each process. For the last part of this tutorial, I'd like to go through two of the options of the setting, organization and personal options. You can select them from setting, organization, and personal option. The only difference between these two is that the organization option is for the whole company and the personal one is for each person. These options are configurable and can be configured by us for companies. For example, currently we have an option available for organizations that lets them activate a feature that sends an automated email to the new customers whose account were registered in the system. You can activate or deactivate this feature using the switch button. And that's all for organization and personal options on the setting menu.